Hello, even more Dapper fella here, and welcome to the first ever episode of Merc vs Hero, or M vs H for short, where I will take two characters from the HID class base shooters, Team Fortress 2, and Overwatch, compare them with how well they perform in their respective game, and see which one is superior over the other. I will be using statistics and abilities shown in the games only. So we will have nothing from the TF2 comics and expiration date, as the same with the plenty Overwatch trailers and official animations, unless they are a comparison to how things function in the game. So without further ado, sit back, relax, get yourself a nice glass of milk, because up first, we are going to first off, the Scout. His job in Team Fortress is pretty self-explanatory. Get in there, hit the enemy or grab the intel, and then book it on out of there. He is also useful in pretty much every game mode TF2 has to offer, due to him being able to quickly cap the point on control point and king of the hill, as well as being able to get to the cart quickly on the payload game mode. But where Scout truly shines in my opinion is with the game mode capture the flag. Especially on easy to navigate maps such as 2 Fort and Double Cross. Because those maps are so easy to navigate, as long as there isn't an enemy there to flank your exit, you'll be able to make a quick escape with the intelligence and score points for your team. Now, time to go over the abilities and weapons God's gift to our planet uses. The Scout, pretty obviously, has the highest base movement speed without using anything to boost his speed, the runner-ups being a creature double feature of both medic and spy. But just like spy, Scout only has a base health of 125, tying with spy, engineer and sniper with the lowest health pool in the game. But what Scout lacks in health, he makes up for in disgustingly powerful weaponry for his stock kit. Speaking of which, let's go over that now. The Scout has 3 weapons. The first, and most important being the scattergun, a more faster variation of the basic shotgun, dealing a disgustingly high 105 damage at point blank range, and if all of the pellets connect, it is also a viable mid-range weapon, with it dealing a max of 60 damage if all pellets connect. The second, and in my personal opinion favorite weapon in Scout's basic arsenal, is the pistol. A fast firing weapon and the closest thing TF2 has got to an accurate automatic rifle. The pistol deals a pretty good 22 damage per shot at point blank range, and even from far away it deals 8 damage a shot, so it's a pretty good swap in for a sticky situation if your scattergun has run out of ammunition. The third, and final weapon in Scout's stock set of weapons, is the bat. A fast swinging melee weapon. On hit, it deals 35 damage on a regular hit, with 105 damage on a critical strike, doing just as much as the scattergun would if you managed to get one off. Oh, right, the critical hit chance. Let's get into that now with Scout's other ability. Right, just like every other Merc and TF2, Scout has a 2% chance to deal a lot more extra damage, with the chance increasing based on how much damage you have done. The maximum chance of 12% being available after dealing 800 damage. Melee weapons have a much higher crit chance at 15%, which becomes a disgustingly high 60% chance after dealing 800 damage. So you're going to be dishing out more crits if you go with a riskier option of melee rather than with the long to mid-range safe haven of your scattergun and pistol. The second of Scout's abilities, being exclusive to him only. The double jump. This is extremely self-explanatory, but for those who don't know how to do the sacred art of using your brain, the double jump allows Scout to jump twice, giving him a good way of keeping out of an enemy's line of fire, as well as being useful in the previously discussed game modes. It also allows him to pick and choose his fights, due to him being able to jump in, kill weaker and less tanky enemies like medics, spies, and other scouts, and then make it out of there. The double jump is a versatile tool to have. And with that, I believe that is the minimum you need to know about Scout. In my opinion, he is a pretty powerful class. His speed is done well in a way that feels fun to play as well as fun to fight against. The only negatives I could really say about Scout is that he gets countered by Engineer and Heavy, due to the Sentra's engineer places being able to shred scouts low health in mere seconds, and Heavy being a durable tank that Scout can rarely deal with on his own. And with that, let's move on to an official Meet the Tracer was never made, so I'm making do with what I've got. Right, the Tracer. First off, I don't see why she is compared to Scout. From my research, she isn't all that quick. Hell, Soldier 76 is faster than her if she doesn't use one of her abilities. So, let's first explain what she is good at before we delve into her unfortunately concerning amount of negatives. But, before I get to explaining, these are my opinions on the character. I get that she can be good if played correctly. This is also the same for Scout, since some people are better at him than others. So if you disagree with anything I have said or will say, leave it down below in the comments. But no more stalling, let's get to the explanation. So, the Tracer, to me, is less of a speedster, and more of a disruptor. Meant to distract the enemy team, so that the other tanks, offense and supports are able to dish out the pain and win the game. Overwatch has 6 main game modes. These being Control, Escort, Flashpoint, Hybrid, Push and Clash. Out of all game modes, the best ones for Tracer I would say are all of the ones with capturable control points, those being Control, Flashpoint, Hybrid to some degree, and Clash. Due to her being able to get to the points decently fast, not as fast as others, but still decent. As for the other two, and Hybrid, I don't honestly see why she would be all that needed on payload based game modes, which involves the second part of Hybrid where you have to escort a payload cart or stop an enemy from pushing the cart. The reason I believe she isn't that important is because of how frail she is in combat, and with how much damage the characters in Overwatch deal. If you're unskilled as her, expect to die a lot. And expect a lot of harsh words from strangers on the internet, speaking from experience. But moving on from that, let's get on to her actual stats. Primarily her health, which sits at a decent 175 health. Actually beating Scout by 50, and tying with one character, that being Diva. But only when she is outside of the giant mech suit. Otherwise it's like comparing a steel fence to a cobweb. She also has a speed of 6 meters per second, which beats out the 5.5 meters per second that most of the Overwatch cast run at. But now that we have covered her basic stats, let's go over her weapon, because she only has one. The pulse pistols, which shoot at a fast speed and deal 6 damage per pellet, with 40 in each mag. This means if you connect all of your shots, you'll deal up to 240 damage. That kills quite a lot of characters outside of pretty much all of the tanks, and are some of offense and support characters which I don't have the patience to figure out which ones. But there is the key phrase. If you manage to, because I have found that it is pretty hard to aim with the pulse pistols, but at the same time, you could treat them as if they are a shotgun, and get up in the enemy's face. But this puts you at risk of dying and therefore no longer providing anything for your team. So I'd say use them at mid-range, so you can deal decent damage whilst keeping at a safe distance to run. She also can perform a melee attack that does 30 damage and can be spammed efficiently, so it's good to finish off enemies that are against a wall without wasting ammo. But now, it's time for the last part of the video before we go on to my final verdict. Tracer's 2 abilities and her ultimate. Her first ability I will cover is called Blink, where she will essentially teleport a short distance horizontally in front of herself, but only horizontally. She can't go vertically or diagonally, only horizontal. This ability is pretty handy to be honest, similar to Scout's double jump. It lets Tracer pick and choose her fights. The only issue is that it has a limit of how many you can do before they have to recharge. Which in terms of game balance, it's honestly fair. Now let's cover her second ability. Recall. This ability allows Tracer to go 3 seconds back in time to the previous place she was in, and to the previous health she was at, and during the recall, she cannot be damaged at all. It's decently useful in fights and can save you if you accidentally fall off of ledges. And now, it is time to cover her ultimate, the Pulse Bomb. And to be honest, it is incredibly bad. It is a short-ranged bomb that sticks to enemies and surfaces, dealing 350 damage and an additional 5 damage if it sticks to a player, and it explodes almost instantly. The only way this can be used is if you combo it with your blink ability to throw the bomb into a cluster of enemies and then quickly dash out of there. Outside of that it's kinda useless. That's both of them covered, I guess. So, without further ado, it is time for the final verdict. Who wins the first episode? The Scout? Or the Tracer? Drumroll please. The Scout takes the first episode with a landslide.
Cheers, love! Cavalry's here!
This is for multiple reasons, including his double jump, which massively outclasses Tracer's blink. Due to the blink not giving Tracer any verticality, the double jump by name is more vertical movement. Scout also ends up having more consistent damage than Tracer, with the scattergun and pistol outweighing the pulse pistol's difficulty to aim with. Tracer does have an edge over Scout in terms of health, but as mentioned, with how hard-hitting Overwatch characters are in their game, it barely makes a difference in the end. Let me know in the comments who you want to see next. But for now, I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one for me, pal.